All right, y'all. So I broke down some of the matchups, some key ones already this morning, right? We talked about Georgia Tech versus Virginia Tech. We talked about Illinois versus Oregon, and also talked about Navy and Notre Dame. Now we're going to go by piece. Talk about each of these featured matchups, who I'm rolling with, who I think is going to come out on top, and a little this Week 9 pick'em. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going with LSU on the road against Texas A&M. Will not be an easy game, but y'all comment a lot on my other video. And Garrett Nussmeier, we trust, man. Like, I think he's having a great year. The key with him is decision making. I think he could really be a good quarterback. If I was him, I would come back another season. I think he's going to build his profile even more. It's a lot of good quarterbacks coming into this class, especially draft class, as far as NFL goes. I think if he goes for another year, I think he could potentially add to his stock. The key, though, is they're going to have to be patient, right? This Texas A&M defense is really good. When you look at what they can generate with pressure, Nick Scourton's having a phenomenal year. They can get you on your toes, right? You go look at the Missouri game and how Brady Cook looked in that one. He was struggling, you know what I'm saying? And they couldn't get nothing going on the ground game, couldn't get the ball to Luther Burden. So they're going to want to take away Kyron Lacey, right? They're going to want to take away some of those deep shots down the field. So it's important for LSU, as we've been saying, to run the football, right? Caden Durham, he got to get going. He's been having a good season. He's been coming on pretty strong lately. Like what you're seeing out of him. He got to have a pretty good game in this one. You got to keep them on their toes. If not, they're going to come, they're going to pin their ears back, and they're going to create pressure, right? And they're going to make Garrett Nussmeier force some turnovers. So it's going to be important. Get the running game going early. Get Garrett Nussmeier in the rhythm, right? Use some of them tight ends, man. Use them shallow crosses, those hitches, those easy routes for the tight end, for Mason Taylor and things like that. And you'll be just fine. It's not – now, I'm saying it. That doesn't mean it's easy, but that's what you got to do if you're going to come out on top. When we look at Texas A&M, got one of the best rushing attacks in the country, right? Le'Veon Moss leads the SEC in rushing yards. He's having a phenomenal year. I do trust Garrett Nussmeier more than Connor Wigman, but it's like if they force early turnovers and they get LSU behind the 8 ball and let's say they got a 14-0 lead, you could just run the ball. Play ball control. Lean on Le'Veon Moss. Let Connor Wigman throw the short intermediate routes. Take shots when he needs to. So it's important for LSU. Not necessarily get up early, but you need to have a lead in this game. Okay? You need to have a lead. You don't need to get behind the 8 ball. You need to have a good start. Because if not, that defense will tee off on you. Now the good thing is strength against strength. Because LSU has one of the better offensive lines. 2 sacks given up all year. They're protecting him very well. But I need to see them dominate in the running game against a really great defensive front. We'll see. I'm going with LSU. All right, next up, this game was last night. Boise State ended up winning. They moved to 7-1. Ashley Denton had another good game, so that one already happened, so not too much to say on that one. Next up, Nebraska, Ohio State. I don't think this is the week Ohio State loses. Dylan Raiola has kind of showed some of his shortcomings a little bit. Ohio State's had a week since that Oregon game, which is good. They gotten healthy. Need to see Trayvon Henderson go off in this game. Need to see Quishon Judkins have a good game. Will Howard, how does he bounce back after having that blunder at the end of the game? That's going to be very crucial and very important for them. And getting the ball to Jeremiah Smith, as you always do. Him, Emeka Ibuka, and his defense. The defense for Ohio State was supposed to be better this year. All right? Is it decent? Yeah, sure. But it's not elite. Okay? That's been the struggle. We need to see the defense play at another level today, and especially in these big games coming up. That's going to be crucial for them going forward. I'm still rolling with the Buckeyes. They should be able to beat Nebraska. We see what Indiana just did to them. Ohio State should be able to do the same thing. All right, next up, we already talked about this one in my other video, Navy versus Notre Dame. I already told you I'm going with the upset, going with Navy. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. In this one, we got one of the best ones, Blake Horvath. He's having a great year. I think this is not a great matchup for Notre Dame. I really do. And I think Navy's going to show that they're for real. And it's going to kick off on ABC. I'm going with the midshipmen to win that one. All right, next up, you got Washington, Indiana. Indiana, with Coach Cignetti, is having a really good year. I still plan on watching one of these games. I won't be able to watch this one, unfortunately, because I'll be covering the Georgia Tech game. But nonetheless, I still roll with Indiana. I think they're going to win this one. I don't think they're going to be challenged until a little bit later in the season when they play some of these other tough Big Ten opponents, potentially. But Washington, they should be able to beat them. Going with Indiana. All right, next up, you got Oklahoma and Ole Miss. So Jackson Arnold's back to start. I talked about that early in the week. Some of y'all said that's old news, but it was reported right then and there when he said it. So I want to see, going into this game. Now, he played a little bit of last game, but you're getting the full start. Going into it, Coach Venables said, okay, hey, we want to see where Michael Hawkins is, see where we got. He had a bad game. He had 2 interceptions in their most recent win. So he's going back to Arnold, right? And if you want Arnold to stay and not leave, right, this is key. Getting him back and starting. How does he handle that adversity? getting your starting job took, now regaining it. What's your moxie? What's your cycle level at? You know what I'm saying? How do you rebound after all that has happened this year? Because this is an experiment year for Oklahoma. Why do I say that? You're moving over from the Big 12 to the SEC. All right? No disrespect to the Big 12. It's a great conference, but those are two different things, right? SEC is the creme de la creme. All right? Big 12 is great as well, but you're playing week in, week out tough opponents. And I think Oklahoma's seeing that. Like going on the road against Auburn. That's a tough game. Now, they're not having a good year. They're 2-5, but that's a tough game. Going on the road to Ole Miss and playing Jackson Dart. That's a tough game. You know what I'm saying? Got to play Alabama at home in a couple weeks. That's a tough game. Like, you cannot, like, and we've seen in the past with some of these teams, they would struggle against some Big 12 teams coming in. You cannot have an off week in the SEC or you will get exposed. So, I want to see how Arnold comes out. Can he have a good game? Can he build some momentum? Continue to go through the rest of the season and going into next year. That's going to be key because they got to know who's going to be their signal caller going forward. We're going to find out a lot. But I'm going with Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, and them boys. They should be able to win that game. All right, next up, we got Oregon, Illinois. I already told y'all who I'm rolling with. I'm going with Oregon. I think they covered the spread of the 21.5. Talked about it in my last video. You want a full breakdown on this game, go check that out. But I'm going with Oregon to come out on top. All right, man, a big one down below. Missouri versus Alabama. A lot of people saying Alabama season's on the line. They don't like it. They're upset. The Crimson Tide faithful. It's like, what's going on? This is not us. We don't have 2 losses before November. Look, man, y'all have had a good run. All right? Now, I'm not saying it's over, but there's going to be growing pains. Okay? This is a new regime. This is a new coach. Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. Y'all got to realize that. He's not. Okay? And peep this, y'all. You lost a lot of your great players last year. Caleb Downs is with Ohio State. It was the top safety in the country last year. Okay? You know, you got a young secondary now. You got some guys in the portal that came over, but you got young guys starting. Xavier Brown. I think Mbakwe's getting a little bit of time. You got a young secondary. They're still figuring it out. The thing that's hurt Alabama the most, they're not playing complimentary football. One part of the team is playing well, the other part's playing terrible. When the defense is up, offense is down. When the offense is up, defense is down. You need to have a complimentary game. And that's going to take time. Now, I like Jalen Milroe, what he's doing. He's continuing to come on, continue to have a strong season. You know what I'm saying? But the offense has to play a lot better than what they've been playing the last few weeks. That's what it just comes down to. And then now you get to welcome Brady Cook, Luther Burden, and crew. And I think for 21, I do agree with Joel Klatt. I do think they're a little ranked a little bit high. But nonetheless, for Bama, you have them at home. You know what I'm saying? And you could potentially, add another ranked win onto your slate. That's what you want, right? So, nonetheless, I think Alabama will win this one. Run the ball with Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, get it going early. If your defense is creating turnovers, you got to get points off turnovers, and win this game at home. That's the key. So I'm going with Alabama. All right, next up, Vanderbilt, Texas. Big game. Big game. Everybody's calling, well, I don't say everybody is, but some people calling Texas fraudulent. Some saying they're overrated. Look, man, they just played Georgia. This is Georgia, all right? Again, this is the SEC. Like, this is what you signed up for. All right? If you're not on your A game, you will get exposed. And I think that's what Georgia did. They exposed them in some ways. No Isaiah Bond in this one. Vanderbilt, feeling good. First time ranked in a long time. Diego Pavia's having a good year. But I still think Texas is going to come out on top. I don't think Vanderbilt has enough to knock them off. Again, Texas is a college football playoff team. Y'all got to realize that. They just played an elite team, okay, against Georgia last week. That's it. They're going to come back. Anthony Hill's going to have a better game. Right, Wingo's going to get going. Gunnar Helm's going to have a good one. And they're going to win this game. Plain and simple. So Texas, going with the Longhorn Nation. Hook them. All right, last but not least, Miami, Florida State. Y'all know who I'm rolling with, man. Rolling with my favorite team, man. Hurricanes, the U. Yeah, man, they're going to beat Florida State, man. Florida State's in a tailwind right now. Then they're like 1-6. No way in hell they beating Miami on the road. Sorry. This is just not going to happen. So my Hurricanes, they'll come out on top. That's what I'm rolling with. Y'all comment below, though. Feature matchups. Who y'all rolling with, man, in all these games. Let me know how I did. Let me know if my picks are crazy. All right. Much love, man. I'll see y'all soon.